What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is season 11, episode 6. And this is kind of special because there is not often an episode where I have a band or an artist or somebody from Baltimore. Jeremy and I could have been in the same room doing this, but we thought this was probably an easier thing because we're both dads. We got stuff going on in the evening with kids. But episode 6, we got Jeremy from Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, which is a Baltimore-based band. Jeremy, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, buddy. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I got a lot of questions for you, but my first one is always the same. What is your earliest musical memory?
It's a great question. Hard to say, really. But what would come to mind is, listening to music at my parents' house growing up. Listened to a lot of Talking Heads. Probably dance around our den as a little kid, listen to like And She Was or something like that.
Right.
And listen to a lot of Miles Davis.
Really?
And jazz, yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your parents' relationship with music, because I grew up in a household that I did not get exposed to cool stuff like that. Like my dad was super into the Eagles, and I'm kind of like the Big Lebowski where I do not like the Eagles. So tell me about that relationship.
Well, not a big Eagles fan, but I'm not a fan. I just, I've never listened to them really. Can't really give them a fair judgment. So my parents have always been big into music. They're both musicians. My mom's a choir director, plays piano, guitar, and violin. And my dad plays keys, trombones, and sings occasionally with the Foo Fighters.
For real?
Oh, very long story. Not really occasionally. He got to sit in with them, which was pretty wild.
Where? At the Anthem?
No, Fenway Park.
What?
Yeah.
You can't just say that and not talk more about it.
I don't know. I mean,
it's cool. I'm a big Foo
gives
Fighters
you
fan.
Something to look up after. But yeah, I mean that happened. My dad's a doctor, and he ended up picking up Dave's case, and then by some crazy turn of events, Dave like invites him to sit in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty insane.
Man.
But yeah, I definitely grew up in a house full of music. I have four younger brothers. Everyone plays music. Not everyone like really stuck to it, but I'm the only one who really plays music like full time and like keeps at it. But everyone's musical.
Yeah. Okay. What do your siblings play? Is everybody a guitarist, or do people play piano? Do people play other instruments?
Piano, trumpet, drums.
Okay. Nice. What's the age difference between your siblings?
I have 4 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 5, and the youngest, it's their birthday today, actually.
Oh, nice.
They are 32.
Okay. So are you guys like decently close in age where you could have like Partridge Family'd it? Like made a family band kind of thing?
It happened. Too many arguments on what genre we're we playing, and a lot of I quits.
Right.
I mean, we had some cool family jams,
Nice. So everybody kind of has different musical taste in terms of what you guys listen to on the regular?
I would say so. I mean, we vary pretty extensively, but we all have some common threads. And it probably at different phases and times, we all listen to similar stuff. I grew up playing in a lot of punk, ska, and hardcore bands. Mm-hmm. So did one of my other brothers, and one of my youngest brothers, my youngest brother, he actually was my band's drummer when he was 10 years old for a few gigs.
Heck yeah.
Until my mom was like, nope, it's not happening again. Not be in your band.
Right. Did you get, so for, in terms of like getting him to play that young, is that like you were playing like power pop, like punk stuff, like Green Day and things like that? Like what were you doing?
Probably more like Minor Threat kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the good stuff.
Like fast hardcore kind of.
Okay.
Like Minor Threat meets like Operation Ivy, kind of that realm. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all kind of have to come from somewhere, right? So
yeah.
Tell me how you got into that music, because I'm curious how you got from Minor Threat to Pigeons, like in terms of like your playing style and what happened in between there?
It's drastically different. I play way less power chords now and about 1 million more notes. Or I guess technically like just all the notes. You know, I've always been like, I studied jazz. You know, I started studying jazz when I was 12, just like with a private teacher in Baltimore. And, you know, I always, as I mentioned before, I always listen to jazz. And by no means am I a proficient jazz guitar player. Disclaimer, you know, I can pretend and I can teach a lot. I teach a lot and I teach a lot of jazz concepts, but
Right.
you know, I didn't go to Berkeley or don't have like a degree in music. So I feel a little behind those guys, not in a bad way. But, you know, I've always listened to a lot of different music. And I think one big like bridging band for me was Primus. You know, I was really into Primus when I was in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
still am really into Primus. But, you know, I kind of dove deep on them and they got me really into like the psychedelic world of music. And from them, I just started diving deeper into that world, listening to more Pink Floyd, and eventually a buddy I worked with at a camp got me into Fish.
Oh, okay.
And
That
then
makes sense.
and then I got really into Fish and got into all of the jam world.
Okay. So it's so funny, man. Primus is like a connective tissue for a lot of people. Like that story is kind of like a common thread, I feel like, for people in this age, like our age group and everything that like I grew up on grunge stuff and like Pearl Jam's my favorite band and always will be my favorite band. But, you know, for some reason I got from that to Hendrix to the Dead to Fish to Mo. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of was like a natural curveball that kind of just floated over the plate for me. But I feel like the Primus entity within that seems to be a connective tissue for a lot of people because of the avant-garde nature of it, which kind of brings in that like improvisational element in a way. But you would never think if you listen to like Pork Soda or something, like you would never think that that would lead somebody to get into a jam band in a way.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting. So like what did you see that Rick Beato interview with Les Claypool recently?
No, but I really need to. I
Yeah.
think the interviews are fantastic, and I got to see that.
Yeah.
And
It was a good interview.
and I did listen to a ton of it. I was just, you know, really into the punk scene was like my core in high school, middle school, you know. But I always loved Hendrix too. That was, I mean, definitely really big early influence on my playing. Um, Definitely played a lot of Hendrix in early high school, late middle school with a drummer I used to play with gigs. Well, not gigs. We used to just jam a lot, and we'd play like punk songs, and we just jam more like kind of more Hendrix style, a lot of pentatonic riffing and Jimmy chords.
So maybe Jimmy was kind of like your gateway then of a little bit
Yeah,
of like stepping out of the punk thing, maybe.
absolutely. You know, I always really liked improvisation, and that's something I got into a lot early on. Like I was kind of lazy with like when I would cover a song, I'd be like, I'm just gonna make it my own solo. It's more fun.
Right.
Now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I should just learn to solo just to practice transcribing more early on. But you know, I always really liked improv. And I didn't know there was a whole scene, the jam band scene, that thrives around improv. And I think that was a big thing that got me into that. You know, the guy I worked with at camp, we used to jam, and you know, we'd get into these open improv things, like more like modal jazz based, but like it wasn't that far off from what I then heard listening to Fish. And I was
Right.
like, oh, this makes sense. You know, this is cool. This is fun. And then I got really into it.
How old were you, do you think, when you like stumbled into Fish?
Um, uh,
Like is this like teens or is this like early 20s or
it's probably, I think it was around 2004.
okay.
Yeah, 21 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so a while back.
Yeah. Did you, for a long time, did you do the tour thing?
Yeah, I
Just
guess that was like 16, 17.
oh,
Um,
that makes sense.
Not really. I mean, I unfortunately got into fish right as like Coventry was happening.
Oh
It
yeah.
was really bad timing to get into fish. Um, and by the time I was into it enough, be like, all right, I need to go to a concert. They had already done Coventry and they were done.
Right.
So I was under the assumption, oh, I'll never get to see fish. That's all right. They got a lot of good live discs. I had like a big binder full of God knows how many live fish CDs, and then that got stolen.
Dude, well then you got to get them back. I mean, how many times have you seen them since they've been back?
Um, not sure, probably 60, 70 times. So fair amount.
That's a fair amount.
It's hard to see them now because we're usually on tour.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is fine. I'd much rather be playing than seeing fish, although I'd rather do both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Totally.
other week, actually, we got to play Bourbon and Beyond Festival in Louisville, and we played at like 3:30, and then Fish played at 8 p.m. And
Mm,
that was perfect day.
that's amazing. Did Dawes play that festival?
Yeah, I think they played Saturday.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we had to head out.
Yeah. Have you seen those guys?
Yeah, I
Oh my
saw
God.
them last May at Viva El Ganzo,
Mm-hmm.
the Goose's festival in Mexico, and they blew me away. I'll be honest, I've never really listened to them before, but I was totally blown away by their sets.
Yeah. Dude, they're like one of my faves too. I feel like they're gonna keep kind of getting into that jam scene because those dudes stretch and they do really
Yeah,
good. I mean, Taylor is one of the most lyrical guitar improvisers. Like that dude is so underrated as a guitarist. Like people think of him as the singer, the songwriter kind of thing, but like he's a fantastic guitar player. And the way that he improvises is so lyrical. And maybe that's because he's such a great singer too. But talk about somebody that doesn't just play notes. It's like a story, you know. Um, so I think that you guys are probably going to end up on more bills with them as this time rolls on right now, because I think they are starting to realize that they can fit in that world. Um, let me ask you this: so since we're both from Baltimore, and I'm gathering you grew up here. Am I correct in assuming that?
yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I remember the Baltimore jam scene probably a little bit different than you do, but talk to me a little bit about like the kind of impetus of you getting out and playing in rooms. And then is this like some of the cats from Pigeons? Like, did you know some of these dudes and were you playing with them earlier on? Is this something that kind of evolved?
So Pigeons, we all we got together in college. I
Mhm.
met Greg on the first day of college. We lived on the same floor of Cumberland Hall at University of Maryland, and we hit it off. Started playing music together, having a good time, and just writing casual music. With, just having fun with it. And I had known Ben, our bass player, from like various high school parties. We hadn't played music together, but I had seen his old band a few times back then. And yeah, but yeah, I mean, really, the full band, I guess, started our sophomore year of college, like fall 2007, and we're still here.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
But we once when we were in college, obviously we mainly played in College Park, but we gradually started making our way into DC for some small shows, and then we started our first Baltimore show was January in 2008 at like a little local band thing at the Record Theater on a Sunday night, where we have to sell tickets. One of those deals.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a fan of that setup, but it was a fun time. It was our first like real show as Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, like where people like paid for tickets.
Yeah.
I think you could still, unfortunately, get videos on YouTube, but it was fun. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. So do
But
you
when
guys when you guys started getting out, was the intention to like start spreading into like the further reaches of Maryland to kind of grab some more fan base in Maryland?
I mean, we had a lot of fun playing. I mean, that's our core ethos, why we do what we do. Um, when we were graduating, we decided I'll try to get jobs locally in the DC, Baltimore area, just so we could keep playing on weekends and keep at it. No overarching goal, at least not in my mind. We were just, we had a lot of fun with it, and we were writing a lot of songs. And I mean, really, it was just a lot of fun. We had a blast together. We still do. And we once I think, yeah, I guess once I got laid off from a job in like January 2011, I found myself with obviously a lot of time, and where I started working more on Dome Fest, which is the festival we host. And then also I started working more and booking more pigeon shows. And that summer we did our first residency at the 8x10 Club in Baltimore. And
Okay.
that I'd say was a really big kicking off point for the band in terms of, all right, let's see what happens here.
Okay.
In that fall, we started kind of touring. And by touring, we just would play markets within a few hours of Baltimore almost every weekend. And like treks out to any festivals or anywhere we could really get a gig. I'm not sure how far we went that summer. I think we played some festivals in like West Virginia and Maryland. We did occasional New York shows in New York City and Port Washington, New York, where Greg, our singer, is from. But we kind of built concentric circles around all of our markets. Like we had a hub in New York, we had a hub in Baltimore, obviously in DC, and we started building up Richmond, and we gradually expanded from each of those. Kind of
So
making new homes.
totally. So were you doing most of the booking at this time?
Early on, I think we started working with our first agent in 2012 or 13.
Okay. Okay.
Probably, I don't remember.
That's a lot of work, dude. That is a
It
lot of
was
work.
a lot of work. By the time we were actually touring, it was my full-time job for the most part. And, I was definitely ready to hand it off when we handed it off, because at that point we were really touring. And, 2013, 14, we did like almost 200 shows each year. So we definitely kept busy, but it didn't feel busy. We were having a great time meeting so many people across the country and getting to spread our music.
Yeah. Man, that's impressive, dude. Like, it's almost like you want to look back at the time where you got laid off to be like, because I'm sure that was stressful, A.
Yeah.
But like, it's almost like that was like the blessing that kind of helped motivate and propel you guys. Like, if, to get in your space where you could be like, all right, I'm hustling, I'm booking gigs, I'm going to get us out there to the point where we can start to get an audience. That's impressive, dude. Cause I mean, I know how much work that is, and trying to make it work, and especially with like travel involved, that's an undertaking, man. So good on you.
Nice. Yeah. Fortunately, we found Baltimore to actually be, I mean, by that point, we were all back in Baltimore for the most part. We found Baltimore to be a great hub for because, 2011, there was no, I don't think we did any extended tours. It was all like, I mean, I guess fall 2011, winter 2011. It was all just kind of head out on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, get back home Sunday or Monday, and then repeat. And that's what we did for many years. Just get in the van, and do it.
Yeah. Were you
And
guys pulling a trailer, or did you just have like a 16 passenger van where you had to fit everything in the van?
I think, I don't remember when we bought our first van, but I think it was probably around sometime in 2011. And we got Ford E350.
Yep.
It's a horrible, horrible mistake, actually. We bought a used one but we picked it up in New Jersey, where we didn't know we'd have to get it re-inspected in Baltimore, which didn't go well.
Oh no.
It ended up costing us like twice as much as we hoped because of how many repairs we had to put into it to make it street legal. And the odometer didn't work. So we didn't know how fast we were going. And it wouldn't, the stereo only worked 50% of the time. It was a thing, but it got us from point A to point B, and we were gracious for that. But yeah, we were just a 15-passenger van, no trailer. I think we first got a trailer in 2000, maybe late 2012 or early 2013. Once we started picking up a few lights to have like a mini light rig. Like, I think we had 4 movers, which I picked up in various lots on like Craigslist probably. Mismatched, like 2 of one, 2 of another, a few LEDs. And once we had that, they were in these big plastic totes, not road cases.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get a trailer at that point because we were maxing out the back of the van. We'd take out both the back rows, but it was definitely maxed.
Man, it's funny because you often talk to musicians about that being their favorite period of time in their band's life, of being like in the van kind of thing. Like even cats that get into these like crazy like tour buses now, and maybe it's like a band like Fish where they each have their own tour bus driving around with their family. It's like you always hear people talk about, man, the best times were just like in the stinky van, with my friends kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the camaraderie you get from being in a van with your best friends is it's something that's undeniable. And it's those are the formative years. If you can't like enjoy that, you can't have fun, you can't take the highs with the lows, then you probably shouldn't do it, because it's a pretty, I mean, you never know what's going to happen being a professional musician, being in a band, go up, down, whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of unpredictable in a way. And like, there's going to be a lot of shit you have to deal with without question, like band breaks down, promoter stiffs you, whatever. There's plenty of things that will happen on the road. And you have to be enjoying yourself in order to make it work, and we love it, and we still do a good amount of runs in the van whenever it makes sense.
Yeah.
But now we do a lot more extended touring, and our production is now a lot where we can't just tow it with our trailer. We tow it with our van and a trailer. It's like if we do a van run, we have to get a box truck. It's a little more complicated versus if we're in a bus, we can fit all our production and backline in the bus trailer because it's a lot bigger.
Yeah, man. Well, trust me, dude. I remember I was in a band that had moderate success, and we did a lot of touring in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I remember there's things I remember just from being like, anytime we got tired when we left a gig after loading out, if we had like an hour drive to a hotel in the next city or whatever, if we were all getting tired, someone would start singing Bohemian Rhapsody, and then the whole band, if people were asleep, people would wake up and the whole band would sing the whole song a cappella. And then that would wake everybody up to be like, all right, cool. Are you all good to drive? Like there was like this whole camaraderie, like you were saying. So I have all these super fond memories of, stuff like that happening. And then, just kind of looking back on that time is very precious. So I get it 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
well, let's dive in. I'm going to ask you a little bit about, yeah.
What was your band?
It was a band called Tribe of Ben.
Nice.
And we broke up in 2002. So we were like through the 90s, like 95 to 2002 maybe is what we did. But then that's when I like moved to Boston and was like getting married and doing different things. But let me ask you, so because we did a show with you, my band did a show with you guys at the Maryland Music Awards. That might have been like 2016.
Yep.
2015.
Yeah. None of our stuff worked.
Oh, it didn't?
Oh yeah. I actually vividly remember we came in the day before. They were like, all right, you're going to come do a sound check with these backline amps and everything. You're going to dial everything up.
Worst.
And we're like, sure, whatever. None of the gear was anything that felt home to us, but whatever. We dialed it in, and they said, look, and you're going to walk on stage that night. You're just going to play. You're not going to make any noise on the guitar. You're just going to walk on. We're going to introduce you, start playing. No noise before. We walk on stage. The amps weren't even on. Settings weren't even close back to where we set them. I mean, the amps were just off.
Right.
And so, you were there. There was an audience of maybe, I don't know,
Maybe
700 people sitting in this theater. And Alex, our drummer, is just like, and maybe our bass player, were hitting the intro to our song F You, and the rest of us are like, oh, fuck.
Dude, those situations
painful.
are so painful. Like when you don't have a sound check or you don't have your own rig even. I don't know about you, Jeremy, but like I've been very, very close to like looking into getting like a Helix or like a Stomp or something that I can like have as a backup to take to a gig if something craps out, or if I'm rolling into something like this where you're playing with there's backline and you've got like I mean, like this past year when we did the Maryland Music Awards again, we hadn't done it since that last time with you guys, and they had Hot Rod DeVille's, and I cannot stand those amps. I just with a passion hate those amps, because they're loud. If you put them on 2, it's like hella loud, yeah, and it's like super clean, but not in like a dumbly nice clean way, like in a stale, like clean Fender tone way. And I love Deluxes, I love Princetons, like that stuff's great. Hot Rod DeVille's, no thank you.
How about a twin reverb?
Twin reverb, I had a 71 twin reverb. That was my gigging amp when I was in Boston, dude. I took 2 power tubes out to cut the power in half.
Yeah.
That amp was killing too, man. It had this beautiful sag to it. It was a 1971. I loved that amp. I sold it like back in like 2013 or so. But I don't mind those. I mean, even those can be loud, obviously, but like there's a sag to those amps that DeVille's don't have. Which is not, I mean, like if you're traveling, like what is your like go-to if you want a backlined amp? Like what would you prefer to show up and see?
I mean, for me, twin reverb or deluxe reverb any day. I find, I go through phases where like all the backline just feels off, or it's all great. I go through different. I mean, I generally prefer a deluxe reverb, but sometimes you get one that's overly bright, and if they replace the speaker, things could get funny. Backline's hit or miss. But usually I would say 8 out of 10 times I feel pretty comfortable on a deluxe reverb or a twin reverb.
What's your current rig?
So my current rig is I play a 68 Bassman head.
Nice.
Which is, Bassmans are my bread and butter. Just super warm, clean, but with like
punch.
Not really, just a very warm, clean tone. Like I keep it below breakup, which, I mean, those things break up pretty early. So like my clean headroom ends at volume 3.
Oh, okay.
And I keep my amp on like 2.5.
Oh, wow. Okay. Look, are those 50-watt amps?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever jump the channels on those?
Honestly, never tried.
They sound friggin' dope, dude.
Yeah. I should try at some point, because
especially when you go in the studio, why not?
Yeah.
Those are killing amps. I played one time and the guy's like, "Oh, do you know you can jump these?" And I was like, "No." It's like a plexi kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And when he did it and I plugged into it, I was like, "Holy shit. Like this is like a sound, man. Like this is the sound that I hear from like old school records, and like really great tone kind of thing." I would try it if you get a chance, man.
Oh, yeah.
Might change your world.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it on my main one, or one of them. I know the tubes are pulled for the bass channel. Just because I've never used it. Well, I mean, I haven't used it since I used to play bass out of it in like high school. which is not a great bass amp, by the way, because it's too low powered and you can't get any good clean headroom with the bass. It's fine if you're practicing in a bedroom, but with a band, it doesn't work. Yeah, but I have a few Bassmans, and I should definitely try that at some point.
Are you running through like a 212 cab or 112?
Yep.
Okay,
So I
cool.
have this very weird old, probably 68 to 70 Gilsonite 2x12 cab. Closed back. No one's ever heard of this cab before. It doesn't have any markings on it. I only figured out what it is because I found a picture of a program that, like, a pamphlet showing the Gilsonite offerings from like late 60s or early 70s. And I saw my cab. And I
That's
was like,
crazy.
whoa, that's it. And for years, I thought it was a custom build. My dad picked it up in the 70s at a yard sale with the basement head. So it was my
What?
dad's old Farfisa organ rig.
Oh
And
God.
I sort of started playing it. I'm like, all right, this is come with me. Fortunately, my dad was very cool about that.
Dude.
I'm glad he saved it. And
Is it a pine cabinet? Like, what is it made of? Do you know?
I honestly don't know.
Wow.
I mean, it's definitely solid wood.
Mhm.
I don't know more than that. It's not overly heavy, and it's also compact, but it's incredible sounding, and it's got these weird 1970 Becker Alnico speakers with these strange aluminum dust caps. But it's not bright, nice, picky. It just everyone's like, oh, because I've been trying to build like a replacement, a backup for like 10 years just because nothing sounds like this cab. And so, of course, people are like, oh, you got to pick up some JBLs with the aluminum dust caps.
Mm.
A, they're crazy expensive. And B, I played through some with someone else's rig, and they're absolutely not my thing.
No.
Um,
Everybody always says that because it's like
Yeah.
the SRV thing, and I'm like, dude, not everybody wants to be SRV, man. Like,
or Garcia,
yeah.
or
Mhm.
Gary, who says Garcia. But after trying like a million speakers, I found like the speakers that I use they're not like efficient speakers. They're kind of moderately tame, but they have a huge piano-like low end and just a overall big like tightness to them and a lot of warmth and roundness. I mean, I love my cabinet. It's kind of the unique thing in my rig. I actually finally just set up I found these tall 4x12 like tower cabinets, and that were built by the same manufacturer that made my cabinet. It basically looks like two of my cabinets stacked on each other. They're ridiculous, but they sound great. They're a little hi-fi. But I finally pulled out one of the speakers today, put it in a 1x12, and it sounds incredible.
Wow.
I think hopefully I got to A/B it with my main rig. I think I've found something that will be a more comparable backup than my backup amp, which is another Bassman with a Weber California in it.
Oh, I love Weber speakers.
Yeah.
I
Great
love Weber.
speaker, but it's different.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Just how like changing a speaker can do so much for an amp.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah.
Like people forget about that. Just try a new speaker if you don't like the way it's sounding through your cab,
Yeah, so many people ask me like, oh, I'm not feeling my amp. I think I need to get a new amp. I'm like, no, just try a different cabinet, try a different speaker.
Yeah.
My like grab and go home rig that I use for like sit-ins, someone's used with Pigeons or whatever, is this boutique amp by the company Third Power, Woolly Coats Spanky.
I don't know that company.
Nashville company. It's like the size of a Princeton, but it's 20 watts. It's got the headroom of a deluxe reverb, basically.
Oof, that sounds awesome.
It's incredible sounding, and it's 30 pounds.
Oh, dude.
That's like the real winning aspect right there.
Hell yeah.
But it came with this Eminence Alessandro speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and it was killer sound, but it was just a little too punchy and too mid-rangey. So I swapped it out with Eminence Texas Heat, and now it's incredible sound, exactly what I'm looking for, and like a little grab and go.
Oh, that sounds awesome, dude.
Definitely punchier than my main touring rig. but in a fun way.
Yeah, man. Have you ever? So, are you only running one amp on stage?
Yeah, just the basement and 212. But I always have my another basement, which is converted into a 1x12 combo with that Weber California, and that's always either behind or next to it, just in case someone happens. I'll run the head portion of that into my cab, or if someone happens with speakers, I can just run through that. Whatnot.
Right, but you've never done like a wet, dry, wet kind of rig or anything. You've never experimented with that.
I haven't, I'm
Because you use like modulation stuff, like there's a bunch of delay and stuff I hear that you're doing, and I can tell it's you playing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would definitely be curious to hear it. Like I don't know. I don't even know how like a wet dry rig works. If it's like, does your dry rig stay or is it just switch? I don't even know how that works.
It's basically all of like your wet effects are in the wet amp, and all of your dry stuff is in the dry, like your overdrives and stuff are in the other amp. So it's not mixing like that. So it doesn't get washy or whatever. Because dude, trust me, dude, I am like anytime I can make things easier, I will. And having a rig like that sounds very complicated, and it sounds like just another thing that can go wrong on a gig.
Yeah.
But I have never played one in a where you can really crank it and stuff. But I've heard it's kind of heavenly. So I mean, and I don't have the reason to do that. I'm playing bars and not playing gigantic stages like you guys. But I was like, oh, maybe he has done that before. So I was curious.
I try to bring gear that I can carry myself, or that I'm not just like, oh, let's bring a Leslie. We love our crew, and we want them to be happy, and we don't want to make them go through unnecessary hoops. Be like, I'm going to bring these 4x12 vertical cabinets, 2 of them, and it's just not. I mean, if
maybe one day.
No, I've joked about it, and one of them is currently taken apart. Finally, if I was starting fresh, I would absolutely look for just a 1x12, whether it's a cab and head. And hopefully I got that ready. I'll test it out probably at the Ramble Festival in 2 weeks.
Nice.
But we use in-ears on stage, and with in-ears, I'm not, and even without in-ears, I don't crank my amp. It never goes past 2.5 really, or 2 3/4. So it's not like I can just rely on my amp for my full stage volume. So like with in-ears, I could use that little 1x12, that third power amp, under 20 watts, and that's fine, because everything's running through your ears.
Yeah,
I could put the amps off stage. It really doesn't make that much of a difference anymore.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing the digital thing just to try it?
No. Okay, so yes, I've thought about it. I don't think I could. I'm not much of a tinkerer when it comes to pedals and like this kind of new technology. I think it's amazing. And, I'd really like to try like the UE American Dream pedal, for example. It's supposed to be like a deluxe reverb, I think, in a box. Just for these backline situations, just so if I'm like really not feeling it with any of the backline, I'm like, all right, well, I got this. Or, I could go one of those other amp sims, but it doesn't feel real to me. And, I love Fender tube amps, but I cannot bond with the new, their
Tone Master.
Tone Master, thank you.
Yeah, those things, I don't like those either, dude.
I can't connect with them. They sound very sterile to me. My drives sound really nasally through them. I don't get the warmth. And then I just feel uncomfortable playing them.
Yeah, I hear you. And dude, if you put like their reverbs are super washy too. Have you noticed that?
I haven't dug in enough to know. I mean, I'm using all pedals because the Bassman has nothing.
Yeah. What reverb are you using?
A Broken Electro-Harmonix Holy Grail Nano.
Nice. Standard.
It was on spring mode, but then the little toggle knob snapped off. and it's stuck on Hall. So now I use Hall.
Okay.
And, I've kind of gotten used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I like Hall reverb now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think overall I prefer a nice spring reverb. Like that Spanky amp has an amazing sounding reverb that I assume is a spring reverb. I don't know.
Hmm.
But I got another Electro Harmonix Holy Grail Nano, and the spring reverb I think the one I bought is actually messed up. So
Right.
like if you turn the reverb knob like just past on, it's already in a huge wash of reverb.
Right.
So at one point I will get a new one and replace it with a new spring reverb pedal. Maybe the Source Audio True Spring.
Mm.
I love their pedals.
You know what is actually really, really good that I just did a demo of is, have you heard of Summer School Electronics?
No.
He's based out of like I think he's in Syracuse. But this thing is super cool.
Oh, nice.
It's like it's a spring tank, but it has a delay. Like this circuit up here is like a weird delay, and you can just turn it on or off. But it adds like a little bit of depth. But like the spring on this is like feels like a tank. It feels like an old Fender tank.
That's awesome.
And he's a super nice guy. But there's so many great digital reverbs out there right now. In terms of stuff that is not over the top, like a Strymon pedal that you had, like you said, like I don't like too many options. Like I'm not that guy. I don't want to have to dig in and really kind of set stuff up. But I feel like Strymon can be a little bit like intimidating at times because of all the options that it has in it. But they all sound great. Like the Flint sounds so good.
I one day I will get a Flint. That 80s reverb is just incredible sounding.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. The plate
on my Source Audio Collider on my board, which is like a delay reverb combo thing. I basically modeled one of my reverbs after the Flint.
Nice.
And it gets so damn close.
Oh man.
But I love Source Audio gear, and that's the only pedal company I've like dove in deep on, like because they have their whole like Neuro app editor where you can go on your phone or your computer to like really dial in your sound. And it's a lot. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. Definitely you can really go deep on the reverb stuff, but it's a lot, but it's such cool pedals, and I've really grown fond of them.
I feel like a lot of those pedals, it's almost like those are for like church players, you know what I mean? Like because you hear a lot of that music, like worship music has a lot of that, shimmery kind of stuff for guitar players. And you guys are all like PRS, right? Like you've done nothing but play PRSs.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing PRS hollow bodies since like probably 2011 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And, to me, they're the best guitars out there. They just feel right. I love the necks. They stay in tune usually. Better than any other guitar I've played. And I don't know, they just like feel like home. And it's extra bonus that they're made in Maryland too. I think
right. I mean, come on, you kind of have to bow to that.
Yeah.
Well, before we run out of time, Jeremy, I wanted to ask you about, because you guys have a new record dropping.
Yeah.
And I actually watched that little documentary you guys made today. First of all, whatever happened with your amp? What was wrong with that? Was that the basement?
Yeah, it was the basement. I think I had some weird harmonic overtone thing happening. And so I take my amp to this guy, Pete Cage, and he's always just knocking out whatever issue I'm dealing with. I think I took it that day. And I used one of my other backup heads for that day of recording. Okay. But no, I don't remember exactly.
Well, so have you guys done also the first record, the first EP came out in 2010, right?
Yeah. Funk EP, which actually technically is an album.
Yeah, it's 8 songs.
We thought it was funny. We had a song on it called Funk Ezekiel. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh, we should just call it Funk EP. And then it went over everyone's head and like, oh, so you have an EP that just got called Funk. And we're like,
you missed it, buddy.
Yeah. So was a swing and a miss. But yeah, we recorded that one in one night in college from like 11 p.m. till like 10 a.m. at the campus radio station.
Really?
Yeah,
Every song?
every song. Yeah, I think we
All
came back.
overdubs and everything? You did everything in one night?
I feel like we came in to do a few overdubs, some like I don't know, a day later or 2 days later, but everything basically like
Dang.
90%.
That's crazy, dude.
Our engineer, Ilya, I remember he was probably ready to strangle me by 10 a.m. Be like, dude, we gotta go.
Right? Man. So here's why I asked that, because obviously you can see a lot of growth in the past 15 years of the records that you guys have released, and but it all still sounds like you guys. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't changed, like the style of music that you guys are writing and the vibe, because you guys have this fun, don't take yourselves too seriously, but want to play good music and want to have a good time vibe. And I think that resonates with your crowd. Obviously, it's very palpable. Because if you guys are having fun, they're having fun, right? But I think that even comes across in the studio records, I would say, for you guys. So my point here is, so the new album is called Feed the Fire, which is also one of my favorite Dawes songs. There's a title of a Dawes song, Feed the Fire, which you should check that song out.
Didn't even know that.
Killing.
I know.
But I wanted to ask you, so this was done with Steve at Right Way Studios? Okay. How long have you guys been working with Steve?
We over 10 years. I think we first tracked our first album with him was our album Pleasure, which I think we tracked in like late 2014 or something like that with him. And we've not turned back. Every record with him, we feel like we're getting better. We feel like our mix is more dialed with him, our tones, and we just have an easier time each time working with him. And I don't know, we love Steve. Steve's the man.
He's got massive ears, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he can hear every little. I just worked with him when I put a single out in July. I worked with him to because we recorded strings like a quartet at his studio, and that was the first time I worked with him, and I was very impressed with the way he handled the violins and the violas and stuff, because I was like, thank you for saying that, because I didn't want to be the asshole. Like, your intonation on that second bar was like, he's so good at that stuff.
He's so on point with that, to the point where like I feel like I've become super anal with tuning, where I'm like, if I feel like I'm off, I'm just like, fuck, right? And I just like go crazy about it. And but at the same time, I'm thankful Steve has instilled that in me, because I just really want to be in tune. But sometimes I feel like I'm really out of tune.
Yeah. It's like he doesn't hold back. He tells you, if like, yeah, you can do better. You can do better. Which I appreciate as somebody that's producing a record. So for this album, so what I liked about listening to this record, so thank you again for like giving me some preemptive listen to this, but there is a pretty wide variety of stuff on the record, but like I really liked Right Track. Like, I'm a sucker for like an upbeat, happy, kind of go lucky vibe, and Hit the Ground Running, same kind of thing. And then Feed the Fire is a great tune. Like, did you guys, like, how long was this session? So the one in Maryland was a night, but how long did you guys work on this record?
I don't remember.
Like a week?
I think we tried to do this one quickly, which means like 10 years. No, I think we knocked out 90% of this in like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks.
Okay.
Like, I think it was probably 3 weeks, and then some overdub sessions, and then slow mixing and we're slow at everything. Or I should say we take our time. But yeah, it's come such a long way since recording Funky P.
Right.
And
but even that sounds good, dude. Like, I would argue that when I listened to that record, because I went back before this interview and was listening to stuff, because I'm a sucker for drum sounds, even though I'm a guitar player. And first of all, the drum sounds on this most recent record are so good. Like, did Steve mix this too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You put Steve and Gator in the room together, things are going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, the toms, like the snare, like everything. First of all, the whole record sonically, you guys all kind of dovetail really nicely. Like everything is sitting in its own place. And I feel like sometimes that can be hard with a two guitar player band, to find your spot in your place where you sit. But like when you guys were kind of working up the tunes for this record, how intentional, and I'm always curious about this, with people in two guitar bands, but like how intentional is the arrangements for the parts in terms of how you guys sit sonically?
Very intentional. Especially this album, there's a lot of songs that have very specific inversions, specific parts for both me and Greg, where, we'll write them out where it's like, and like a lot of these songs we'll demo in Logic at home, um, and then bring them to the band and be like, all right, this is what we got. And some of them are really fleshed out to the point where it's like, all right, these are the parts, let's play it. Others are like, here's an idea, let's expand on this, or a combination. But for this album, there's definitely a lot of songs, like really every song where me and Greg are playing each chord and each shape or each line is extremely intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And, we wanted to make a big sound with just two guitars and a bass. Obviously since we're in the studio, we use the liberties to kind of add extra elements, like add guest horns, guest keys, synths, or whatever. I think we added a lot of like organ and percussion on this one, especially. But the guitars specifically are very intentionally arranged, and that's something I feel like we've gotten a lot better at over the years. Really like nailing in like where each of us is playing. Like sometimes we'll play the songs from Funky P, and me and Greg would be like, "Wow, we're both playing the same thing." But and sometimes we'll rearrange those songs, but sometimes we're like, let's just let it be because
It's part of your history, man.
exactly, and it's cool for us to notice like, oh yeah, if we wrote this now, we would have wrote it like a million different ways.
Right.
But no, it's been really fun to write songs where like we have the guitars really like almost spaced out in different realms of the guitar, different. Each of us, like, Greg's hitting the root and the third, I'm probably hitting the fifth and the ninth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, various things like that where we're making complex chords, but neither of us is playing a complex chord. But the combination of both of our guitars together will make this bigger, more complex sound.
It's a nice palette. And it's funny too, because Greg plays PRS guitars too, right? Is he playing a hollow body? Is he playing like a McCarty or something?
I think his 2004 Custom 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because even though you guys are playing those instruments, the timbre of those instruments, although they can be similar, like there's still a distinct voice between the two of them. Like you can hear it. And even though it might be two humbuckers or whatever, it's got that classic vibe that I think you guys are probably going for. But I think it's cool to hear when you're writing music like that and you're arranging it, like you were saying, like from the 2010 EP, you guys were probably playing a bar chord, the same friggin' bar chord. You know what I mean? Whereas like now you're like, we don't even have to play bar chords. Like we can just play part of the triad. You know what I mean? And I think that's
we don't play very many bar chords at all.
Yeah. But that, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the cool part about working in a band like you have, is that you have the ability to create these cool sonic spaces and soundscapes with what you guys are doing. Who played horns on this?
So on a song, Calm Before the Storm, we had our friends in Western Blend play the horn parts for that.
Okay.
And then for Fantasy, which I think just dropped last week, we had a Here Come the Mummies horn section do that one.
Oh, that's sick. Cool.
Both those groups, different players, and we love working with them both. But we wanted like two different sounds. So we were like, let's mix it up. And we're so happy with both of them. And then our friend Wes Bailey arranged some horns for Feed the Fire.
Okay, cool.
And it's interesting. And Calm Before the Storm, that's a perfect example of really intentional spread guitar parts.
Mm-hmm.
Or, in the main part of the song, Greg's playing like an A minor triad repeated over every chord in a specific pattern, and the bass is really dictating the changes.
Yeah, I love
Neither
it.
of us are playing the changes. Ben is holding down the changes on the bass, and I'm playing another slightly different rhythm, kind of like chord melody riff, like little thing, like funky chord melody, I guess, thing. And you put them together, all three parts together, and then you have the song.
That's so cool, man. That's super fun. I mean, you guys, as far as the music that is on this record, how long have these songs been like floating? Like, have you guys been touring these songs for a while and like audience testing them and like figuring out like what would be good? Or do you guys like to save some stuff as like surprises?
So all these songs, we've played live, some more than others. We're a live band at our core, and and honestly, when we write a new song, we're done. We're like, we just want to play it. We're like, we want our fans to hear it, and so we'll often just play it. And sometimes we'll be like, after playing that first time, we're like, we need to fix a few things. We need a bridge or whatever. We'll change it, and we'll let it kind of grow with the fans, and the fans are kind of become a part of that process without.
That's super fun. I mean, I'm sure that people that first hear these tunes and then see them show up on a record later, it's probably fun to see how the evolution of that song happens in real time. So when you guys put it out, it's like, oh, cool. Like it's just like when you hear, like when I first heard Mo play Bullet live before it came out, and then I was like, oh shit, this is my jam now. Like this is my Mo song. And then when Wormwood came out and that song was on it, I was like, oh, I guess it's like still kind of the same, but like there's little things about it that are nuanced. But that's my favorite part about this scene and about the jam scene in general is like workshopping in real time, workshopping songs for your audience and like getting that instant feedback of like, okay, maybe that didn't work. Kind of like a stand-up comedian, going to the Comedy Cellar and spitting some new stuff and like, oh, that didn't work. Or, that kind of worked. Maybe if we tweak it, it'll work better next time. I think
Yeah.
that stuff is super fun.
I mean, one thing we do, like, let's say when we get the studio, obviously we're not on stage, we don't have the energy of the crowd, we're not flowing with the vibe of, whatever. So we try to do something different in the studio for most songs. And we're thinking, all right, our live fans, they want jams, they want the deep everything, and we love that because that's what's fun to do. But our average Spotify listener might not be someone who wants necessarily 15-minute version of the song.
Right.
So when we go to record the songs in the studio, we usually do a bit of rearranging and try to figure out, okay, what is the best way we could package this song into this powerful thing that your average listener can get through without like getting bored or if
Right.
you're not into the jams. And we want our music to be able to connect with as many people as possible,
Mm-hmm.
for it to spread joy and a good time. And so like, when people are used to our live version of Right Track, for example, which we usually stretch out with some big jams, for the album, we wanted to kind of boil it down to like, this is the song.
Right. And it stands on its
show.
own.
Yeah, come to the show and see what happens next, where we take it out for a ride. And
Right.
I mean, that's really fun for us. And it lets us do something different in the studio. And I think a lot of our fans listen to like Nugs, our live shows. And then there are probably other fans who just listen to the Spotify stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To each their own. Sometimes I'm in the mood for the live version of a song. Sometimes I want to hear the studio version.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I think that's what the show's for, right? That is
Yeah.
what the show's for. When I had Andrew Hendricks on from Danger Muffin a couple weeks back, 4 or 5 weeks back, he was talking about there's a specific song on the new record that I was talking to him about, and I was like, oh man, I'd love to hear this song live because I'm gathering that you guys really kind of jam this one out. And he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, the studio version of this is kind of like mellow, but you're going to get a lot more choruses, the solo over at the end of the song, and everybody takes a turn. And I love that stuff, dude. It's like, I don't know. It's the sandbox, you know? It's the sandbox for musicians. It's where we get to like live dangerously. And that's what music is supposed to be. We're supposed to be on the edge of a knife, right? Like every night on stage, just kind of taking risks and like making the ticket worth it. So
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
That's where that's what keeps it really fun for us. And like, we play a different set every night, but like if for some strange reason we decide to play the same set, which wouldn't happen, it'd still be a different show.
Right. Yeah.
But we wouldn't do that unless I accidentally just wrote a set that we've somehow played before, which is possible, but we're always adding new songs. And
yeah.
But
well, I think, obviously it's working for you guys. From the layoff to the booking agent / guitar player to now, I mean, you guys are doing it, man. And it's really fun to watch. I love the fact that, well, first of all, I'm so pissed that we didn't meet a lot earlier because I have not been super duper hip to you guys. But now I am. So I'm going to have to try to get out to a show. And dude, you know what we should do? Next time there's like a local show, I do these. Did I tell you about this? I do this thing called I can't even remember my own.
Oh yeah, the Gear
Gab. Yeah, I do that, and I've done it with Gabe Dixon from Tedeschi Trucks. I did it with Jake from Eggy. Like, I'd love to do it with you guys sometime. When there's a time when it's available to do it, that'd be fun. Because I want to see that bass man up close, and we got to jump those channels, brother.
Yeah, I think I talked about that already today. So hopefully I didn't bore people. Probably did, but
yeah. Well, let's do the lightning round get down because I want to get you back to your night. All right, so Jeremy, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you 10 questions. It's a this or that type situation. You can explain your answers if you want. You don't have to. You can burn right through it. And the first question is always the same. Lennon or McCartney?
I don't know. I guess McCartney, but we kind of need them together.
Right. Ray Lewis or Cal Ripken?
I guess Ray Lewis. Football is more exciting.
Marshall or Vox?
Marshall. I mean, I don't like Vox. Marshall's. It's got roots in the basement. So
all right,
it's a tweed basement, which is very different.
That's fair though. Soup or chili?
Depends who made it. But if it's on the menu, probably soup.
Okay. Tube Screamer or Blues Breaker?
Tube Screamer.
We already know this one. In-ears or wedge?
In-ears, but in-ears. Yeah.
Okay.
I do love having a wedge though. Sometimes for sit-ins, just you're a little more free.
Yeah.
It's hearing your amp in the open. Anyways.
Heck yeah, dude. All right. If you could have one of these superhero powers, would you rather have super strength or flight?
Probably flight.
All right. Guess. Wah-wah or sheets?
Wah-wah.
2x12 cab or 1x12 cab?
Well, I play a 2x12, but if I can get that tone in 1x12, 1x12. But that's only out of laziness and convenience.
That's fair though. That's a reason.
No other factors, 2x12. But
all right, here's the last one. Sometimes it's the easiest, sometimes it's the hardest. If you could take one album and erase it from your memory just so you could go back and experience it for the first time again, what album would that be?
That is a tough question.
Doesn't have to be your favorite album of all time, just a record that you'd like to experience again for the first time.
I mean, I could give a classic. I feel like it's almost a cop-out, but like Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, or Metal. Like, wait, is it Metal? Which is the one that starts with One of These Days? I wish you were here at Metal.
That might be Metal. I can't remember off. I'm not super familiar with Metal as much as I am with like Wall
I feel
Dark
like,
Side, Wish You Were. Was no?
but I
It's
guess
Half a Cigar is on Wish You Were. Isn't that the first? I can't remember.
yeah. I mean, or Animals. I mean, I guess I would go Dark Side of the Moon or Animals, maybe, just because both those albums are just so perfectly epic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like my quick response. If I thought of it, I'd probably say something else.
Okay. Well, think about it. If you have another answer later, text it to me. I'm curious. Well, you made it to the other side, buddy. There you go. See, you survived all the way at the end here. You know what's funny, man? Dark Side is probably, that's not a cop-out answer. That is probably the most popular answer to that question.
Well, that's not that. I feel like it's like the canned, of course.
No, I think it's legit. I think legit musicians respect it so much that it's got to be up there.
Yeah.
But even people like Gabe Dixon from Tedeschi Trucks, that's what he said too. And I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that because he's a huge Elton John head. I was expecting him to say like Tumbleweed Connection or Madman Across the Water or something like that. So now, man, I think there's a reason that record needs to be said a lot.
I mean, that record is epic from start to finish. And, I feel like few bands ever make an album like that. And I mean, Floyd has a lot of those kind of albums.
Yeah, totally. Joe's saying that is on Metal. Yeah. So thanks, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I love Wish You Were Here too, but
for
some reason Metal was one of those albums that just sucked me in. I would just listen from start to finish a lot. Same with Dark Side.
Yeah. You know what's crazy, dude? I think this was probably 2001 or 2002 at the Gathering the Vibes Festival. Dude, the lineup was nuts. It was like Les Claypool's Flying Frog Brigade, Schofield played, Ray Manzarek from the Doors. It was nuts. Like the lineup was crazy. But the night that Les's band played, they played his version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which have you ever heard that version of that? Dude, that was my first experience with hearing that song, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I was like, I know this is a Pink Floyd song. I think it is. And like my friend was like, yep, it is. But it's so different. If anyone is curious, if you can find Les Claypool's version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, I highly recommend checking it out. It's nuts. All right,
I love the one album I used to listen to a lot was his Live Frogs album where he does Animals.
Oh, yeah.
That record just took me,
Yeah, you got to check out that Rick Beato. You'll really love that because he goes way back to like the start of talking about like playing in cover bands and stuff. Like it's super cool. So everybody, for anyone listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pigeon Funk is where you can find Jeremy on Instagram.
I will say I don't post very much. So
still,
Pigeons Playing is where you want to go.
Yeah, so if you want to go to @Pigeons Playing, that is the Instagram page. The website is pigeonsplayingpingpong.com, and YouTube channel would be youtube.com/pigeonsplaying. So if you want to find out all things about what's going on with those cats, definitely do. I'm sure that they'll probably be in your neighborhood at some point in the next 365 days. So go see them and buy the merch and keep these guys on the road.
Thanks.
So anything else, Jeremy, to drop? Oh, when's the record dropping? Just so people know.
The record, Feed the Fire, drops this Friday.
Heck yeah.
Please check it out. Share with your friends. Spread the word. Spread the bird. And, and yeah, hopefully whoever sees this, we'll make it out to a show at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet. Well, Jeremy, hold on one second. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening on all the listening streaming platforms and all that good stuff. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.